Hello everyone, welcome back again. Bit of an unplanned video tonight. Reason being, I put a post up on our Facebook page last night of FTR3 and some damage it sustained back in 2002. We managed to get hold of some detailed photos of the car while it was being repaired after an accident at the GMC 400 in Canberra. And some of that damage is still visible today on the car. So we're getting a lot of opinion, a lot of messages about whether the car was repaired properly back in 2002 and what we should do with it today. So I thought I'll put this video together and we can just have a little bit more of a look at the damage and just, I guess, provide a little bit of background about what happened back in 2002. So to quickly understand how the damage happened, if we throw back to this car's active years in the main game Supercars Championship, it raced in 2000, 2001, 2002 and 2003. So out of all the FTR chassis, it would have had comfortably the most race starts. Now, if we go back to 2001, this was car 5. Glenn Seaton raced it throughout the year, and Stephen Richards ran FTR2 as car 6. Now, at the end of 2001, FTR4 came on the scene. So Glenn Seaton raced Bathurst in FTR4 with Stephen Richards, and FTR3, the car you're looking at now, became the team's spare chassis. By the end of 2001, Ford had redistributed their sponsorship dollars, and for 2002, a lot of the funding went to Craig Lowndes and Gibson Motorsport. So Glenn Seaton only had the funding to run one car. Therefore, Stephen Richards was released from his contract, and car 5 was run throughout the 2002 championship as a single car operation. Glenn Seaton, as planned, was to run 2002 in FTR4, and FTR3, the car you're looking at, became the team's spare chassis. So with two chassis at its disposal and a non-championship round to start the season at the Grand Prix in Melbourne, they ran FTR3 at the non-championship round in Melbourne and left FTR4, the newer chassis, fully prepped, ready to go for Adelaide at round 1 at the Clipsal 500. This car was run at the Grand Prix, and as you can see, it proved to be a good decision as it sustained quite a bit of damage throughout the round. So the Clipsal 500 rolls around in Adelaide, and as many of you would have seen over the years, FTR4 had a massive accident at turn 8, sidelining it for a period of time.
Glenn Seaton walking away from this.
Coming around here he comes. Wow! Another couple of 100 metres at least down here. Look at this, Glenn Seaton comes in hard on the left-hand side.
Whoa, the car following, it might have been one of the Castrol Commodores, almost lost it as well.
Oh.
Safety car has now joined the circuit. It was on standby. Have a look at this from another angle.
Oh. And just take a look at the concrete wall that he's left behind him.
That is incredible, the physics of that accident. Those concrete blocks weigh 4.5 tonnes. They're tied together and he's knocked it back like a Lego block.
Well, you'll
Look
see
at
him
this.
come around here. He comes in. Oh, that is so heavy. He came in tight on that corner. It almost looked as though the front of the car started to dance around, kicked the back out and pushed the side of that Ford Credit car.
The rebuild on the car was so substantial that the inside of the car was repainted. So the normal white chassis that all the FTR cars ran was changed to silver to match the 2002 livery. Why this took place? FTR3 was rolled back out of retirement.
I just clipped the wall on the inside and it just naturally ricocheted straight off the inside wall and fired over into the outside wall. And I suppose it's a little bit of a frightening experience, hitting 200 Ks and wondering what's going to come out of it. But at the end of the day, I come out of it pretty good.
At the time, you cut your chin. How did you feel physically?
I felt really good physically. My chin was the only thing that actually hurt, and that was on the seatbelt buckle when my head swung down with the G-forces. So besides for that, I was the next day I went to the chiropractor and just got my neck checked, and I was brand new.
So FTR3 ran the next portion of the Supercars Championship in 2002, all the way up until the GMC 400 in Canberra, where the car suffered severe damage to the front, the rear, and pretty well everywhere else.
And oh, what a mess of Glenn Seaton. The whole front of the Ford Credit Falcon is a wreck. Somehow he's going to try. Look at the steam and the smoke coming out of the right-hand side there. Somehow he's just going to try and limp it back to a safe position. I think that's down right on the bottom part of this circuit around turn 15. No, it's through the Canberra complex around the back. And oh, there's nothing worse than crashing your car, but Crashing your car right in front of a whole heap of Holden fans when you're a Ford driver still is on the probably road when that turn was taken. But down here, Max Wilson goes wide and crunch.
Boy, Max has been involved in... Max has been involved in an awful lot of sheet metal surgery today.
Larry Perkins also caught up in that one. Mark Larkham as well. Paul Morris goes around. And Max Wilson.
We hear that Todd Kelly, as Glenn Seaton checks out the damage on the Ford Credit Falcon, Todd Kelly has been shown a bad sportsmanship flag for balking Craig Lowndes. Now, that's interesting.
The damage was that significant. It was noted in the logbook that the car did have front and rear damage, and it would need to be inspected at the next time the car was rolled out. At this point, luckily, FTR4 was near completion from its rebuild from earlier in the year. So FTR3 was put on the back burner once again, and FTR4 put back into service. So that's just a snapshot over a 12-month period, and you can see the amount of workload the teams had. I mean, at the time, FTR was only a one-car team, but at no time did they really have two chassis built up, ready to go to pick from. So a lot of the comments that we had last night when we put this photo up, or this post up, I should say, a lot of comments were around, you know, it's a bit of a quick way of doing it or a lazy way of doing the repair. The whole rail should have been cut out of the car and vice versa. As you can see by that little snapshot of time there really isn't the time to do it. So if the car is operable, performance-wise, it doesn't hamper it, a lot of this stuff can be left over time. Now, just to show you exactly what I'm talking about, the rear chassis rail on the car, on the driver's side rear, you can see there it has a fairly substantial kink in it. Now, that was photographed in 2002, and it was exactly the same. The car's raced on post that photo, and some of it was quite successful, so it doesn't affect the car mechanically. All the suspension pickup points and everything are all mounted well away from that area. As you can see, they're bolted from inside the car at the top arm and bolted underneath the car on the bottom arm. So it doesn't affect the car mechanically. As long as, I guess, the rear boot position and the floor and everything's all measuring up okay, it doesn't really affect the car mechanically, and it's just an unnecessary job to add to the already extreme workload. So basically, we still need to cut the back of the car off to convert it to an AU, but we're going to leave that rail as it is. It's part of the car's history. It tells a story. Yes, it would be nice to have a nice shiny new rail in there that's gun barrel straight, but at the end of the day, as long as the critical points line up perfectly, we're happy to leave it as it is. So that's, I hope, paints a bit of a picture on why the damage is there and why, I guess, the approach is taken to do things in certain ways. And we'll push on here. And if you've got any questions, let us know. And thanks again for your support.